I was about to start making a gift for a friend when I realised that the products I'm using are almost exclusively from one supplier. Now, as you know, I'm not sponsored by any particular supplier, but these kind people from Just For You Online UK do sometimes send me some goodies to try out, and I've ended up with a load of them in front of me. So I thought it might be nice to invite them to this premiere. Now if you're watching this as a live premiere, have a look in the chat. Now if you're on a computer, it will be over there. If you're on an iPad, it will probably be down here somewhere, same with phones. But anyway, somewhere there will be a live chat. And the team from Just For You Online will be in this chat with us. So that's great. They can answer some questions for you as well as me. Now, what I'm going to be making today then is just some simple coasters really. And I will be doing the trinket tray to match. Now these are gifts for my friend Jenna, who you all know often joins us in chat. It'll be for his mum, so shh, don't tell her. I'm going to make some coasters in a similar way to what I've done before, using some inlays again into our little moulds here. But I'm going to add a bit of a twist to this. I'm going to do the white or the coloured half with ecopore, and also in the clear part I might add a little bit of sparkle as well. So similar project to what I've done recently in other videos, but with a twist. We're using some different mediums. Our first step is to get the inlays coated with some colourant of some sort. Now I think I'm going to keep this simple and go for the ink pads again. Now this time I am laying these little inlays down onto one of my sticky mats, and I've got my big glittery one out here. And the reason for doing that is last time my little inlays didn't stick terribly well to the actual mould, and I'm a bit concerned in case I did get some mica powder underneath them. I'm pretty sure I didn't because I did give them a wipe, but I want to make sure. So that's going to be, they're kind of stuck down quite well there. Okay, the silver is the same one as last time, it's just the normal Versacolour one. Now this is quite nice and easy to do. We're just going to dab it onto the little stamps. I'm going to actually rub it on a little bit, let's get a bit more colour on there. Pressing them down quite hard to make sure they stay in place this time. Of course I'm going to want each one to be a little bit different. They're not moving, so I hope that means they're staying down. Now, going to mix up the ecopore. Probably don't, strictly speaking, need my gloves for this, but you know, we'll be on the safe side because I keep getting my hands all mucky. Ecopore to do half, and I'm also going to add some of the metallic shards. These are also from Just For You Online. See, I told you I was inadvertently using all their stuff this time. Usually I end up with a bit more of a mix than this. But what I'm going to do is make like a little wall, as you've seen me done previously. And the idea is that one side will be ecopore and the other side resin this time. Now if you remember last time I used resin both sides, it's just that one side was tinted with the with pigment paste. Now, ecopore, what can you colour it with? I've been testing, I've been doing lots of experimenting, because people say, oh, you can use this, you can use that. Yes, you can use mica powders, you can use all sorts in it. And there will be a video coming up soon showing some of that testing, because I did video quite a lot of it as I was messing about. But there's one thing I found that works, and it's so easy, it's ridiculous, and we've probably already got some knowing us arty types. I found inks and things didn't work terribly well, but you know what? Food colouring does. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to mix up in a big pot some of the ecopore. There's quite a lot in there. It's a beautiful white. As you can see, I find it's far whiter than things like jesmonite. 30 parts water to 100 parts powder. So there we go. I'm going to put the food colouring in now. Now I could have added it to the water beforehand. Don't forget, whatever colouring you put in it, it's going to be diluted a lot by the fact that the white is so very white. So when you get the colour you want, you know, go steady, you'll get the colour you want, depending on how much you put in. Now that is quite thick, but I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. Now ecopore is quite forgiving, so whilst that recipe that I just gave you, she says spilling it everywhere, is the perfect recipe, I find I can make it a bit thicker or a bit thinner depending on what I want to do with it. But what I'm hoping is, doing it this way rather than doing both sides with resin, I'm going to get more of a dividing line between the two colours. So let's go straight in with this. So this one, the green is going this side. Isn't that a beautiful pale minty green? And that, my friends, is just food colouring. So you can see it'll push it around a little bit. It's taking the glitter with it. I don't mind. You could have made it even thicker so as it didn't spread at all. You can make it really quite gloopy. You can even make it really thick and carve it, and you know, kind of almost like modelling with it. So just going to let that settle a little bit. I'm going to let it go over a little bit, I think. What I don't want it to do is just completely cover. And you know what I ought to do is find the trinket tray and pour the rest into that. Now of course if I had made it a lot thicker, it probably would have stayed in place an awful lot better than that. This is me just slapping it in and being silly. Now I'm just going to tip this one up a little bit more. There we are. Should have made it much thicker. You can make it so it's almost like a paste. That would have worked so much better than this, I think. Incompetence, incompetence. However, as usual, this just shows you you can pull things back if they start to go a little bit how you didn't plan. I'm not saying wrong, notice, just how you didn't plan. That's different to being wrong. Right, gonna leave those now, see what happens. Hopefully we'll get this sort of crazy edge thing going on, and then we can move on and put some clear in on the back. Right, I'm back, resin's all mixed up. Now I've decided to put a little bit of crushed glass in here, and I'm hoping that it won't move too far, because I've been quite careful where I put it. I moved it round with a lollipop stick. I was quite specific with my placing, and I don't know whether I've got enough resin mixed up here anyway, really. We'll see. But let's get a good coating on all of them. Obviously I've got the trinket tray to do as well. I have put a leaf in there, but of course I've used all my leaves, all my monstera leaves, in these. So I've put one of the other leaves in there, but I think I might leave that until one of these leaves out of this lot are free. I'm going to have to mix another batch up, but it's just a one-to-one resin, really nice to use, dead easy. Now the other good thing about using this particular resin for your coasters and things like that is it is pretty heat resistant. The deep pour one is even more heat resistant, I believe, but this one I think, and if the ladies from Just For You Online are in chat still at this point, if you're watching this as the live premiere, they perhaps can confirm this for me. I believe this will go up to about 70 degrees. Now that's plenty hot enough for a darn hot cup of tea to be sat on it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the last batch up. These are going to be fairly thick coasters. And in the last batch I'm going to just put a little surprise on the back. Now I'm going to try to make sure these are all about the same depth. That could be nigh on impossible. I think they're pretty close. Yeah. Something I wanted to show you before I finish doing these is look how the colour has changed. That's gone more of a sage green. Don't know what the other side's going like, of course. Now this last little bit I am going to pour into the rim of this one, just to get that sealed really. Maybe go across the glitter a little bit. But obviously we've got some leaves to go in there yet. So I'm only pouring that little bit just to kind of start the process. But also if we get the resin on part of this other one, you'll be able to see that colour difference. I don't know why it's reacting like that, but it's interesting. Obviously if you use it on its own, it's going to keep its colour. It's very colour fast. But it's just interesting to see how that's gone more subtle. Now the little, I said surprise, little bit I was going to do for you for this last bit, I'm going to mix up, no, let's just put it straight in. I was going to mix some stuff up on the surface, but no, let's put it straight in. And I've got a thin wooden stirring stick here. I'm causing a cloud of dust. Right, this is the floating pigment from Just For You Online, and I'm going to drizzle it around. Now that is just what came out on my stick when I dipped. So you clearly don't need much to have quite an effect. Now the thought that's going through my mind now is that's going to make it look really nice and 3D, because this shimmer, this beautiful silver shimmer, is going to be on the back. But also, will it sink when I spray the surface? Because I am going to spray the surface with some alcohol just to get the surface to, you know, the bubbles to dissipate, the final bit of bubbles. Isn't that pretty? So I kind of wanted to give these a sort of silvery back. I've got something nice to use for the edges as well, which I'll show you obviously when we get to the demold stage. Okay, we did it a bit in that one, so let's take some off. Looks like mercury, doesn't it? When you lift it off. There. Right, I'm going to leave that now. There's a danger of messing too much, isn't there? So let's leave that. I'll have a tidy up, and then when it comes to demold time, I'll be back with you again. Right, demold time. And the silver has done funny things. This one, it went into the middle, look. Anyway, here we go. Now the resin hasn't gone under much, but where it has, it's just done something interesting, so I don't mind that at all. Let's get the little leaves out. You can see it's gone nicely around the silver too. That's left little craters on the surface even. Some of that might actually flake away, so I'll give it a dust off. Right, let's get these out. Oh. I guess this is the twin one, isn't it? And the resin's gone under a little bit there. I can just trim that away while it's still a little bit soft. Let's get some little snipper scissors. I don't know where my tiny scissors are, but I can just go around that like so and trim it away. So that I am happy with. That's pretty. And can you see where the resin is and isn't? We've got two different colours of green, possibly three different colours of green. It's just kind of interesting, isn't it? Okay, let's demold the rest. Oh, I like my spot. And that little ribbon of the rose gold crushed glass running through it too. I have to say, the crushed glass wasn't from Just For You Online. I think they do some crushed glass. If they do, I'll add you the link later, but I got that ages ago from Temu. Now what I'm seeing here is that the silver hasn't transferred as much as I hoped. It probably would have done with a powder, but it has given like a, almost like a frost effect in them. Let's get the rest out. And of course I've still got the tray to do. Oh yeah, I'm liking these. I am liking these. Now I've liberated the little inlays, we can get on and do the tray. Which will be the same process. I can show you where it's got to so far. And then, yeah, you can imagine the rest of the process. Unless you want me to show it. I might show it, we can just speed it up, can't we? Oh, look. And that is coming away as well. So I'm going to need to do a little bit of infill there as well. But in principle, it's worked. What I might do actually is just make another two because it's so easy. Or I could just leave it as a set of two, couldn't I? I could leave it as a set of two. Yeah, let's leave it as a set of two. The other two, I'll coat them. So this one, I'll do a little repair job there. And I'll coat it. And they can be a set of two all of their own. So we'll end up with a set of two little coasters. So these two, can you see what I'm talking about? I've ended up with a lip. Now that'll be easily solved by just going over and infilling those. But these two are so perfect. I don't want to do that with these two. And then we'll end up with them not matching, won't we? So, yeah, let's just have a set of two. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that decent outliner pens, you can only get them in a certain range of colours. Bronze, silver, gold usually. And you'll have seen probably in my previous videos where I recommend the Deco Colour pens, which I still do. I still do. They are absolutely amazing. I love them very much. However, there's a new kid on the block. I've got a full set of these from Just For You online, and they do bronze, silver, gold, and then there's blush and champagne. Now, look how big that chisel tip is. Now to me that is a real bonus, because when you're doing this, you want that to, oh, there's a little bit there where there's been some bubbles. Having that nice big tip is going to make quite a difference. Now the other thing is that I've discovered you can put two coats on. Now the other, I'm noticing that this is behaving slightly differently on the ecopore to what it is on the resin, which is interesting. I'm going to come back and, like as I said, I'll do a second coat anyway, and I'll show you the results of that. But this I just thought was a bit less in your face than plain silver or gold. The other thing I notice about these pens is that the flow rate is really good from the ink. Keep going. So I'm putting two coats on basically. The ones I practiced this on the other day didn't need two coats, but it was interesting to see that you could, because some pens, if you try to do a second coat, it just scrapes the first coat off. I can only assume that's because these pens they're specifically for doing this with. Those other pens are maybe more, you know, just multi-purpose pens that happen to work for this sort of thing. There we go, that's better, isn't it? And look how that's drying. Isn't that lovely? Right, let's go around and do the top edge. So as usual, I'm just tipping it at 45 degrees. I tend to rest it on my little finger. I find that easier to then spin the disc around. Now, while we're on this, folks, don't forget, Obviously, as I keep telling you, I just want to be clear about these things. I'm not sponsored by Just For You Online. I don't get any commission or anything. They just send me some stuff to try, and I share it with you because it's stuff that I've decided it's really good and I want to use it myself. Now, the other lovely thing they have done for me is give you a discount code. So if you have a look in the description below this video, you'll see that there are a couple of discount codes in there now, including the one for Just For You Online. It's just mini scenes of 15. That will get you a 15% discount if you buy anything from them. Those of you here for the live chat, I hope you've had a chance to ask the ladies your own questions about their products. Anybody who isn't here for the live chat, if you click the replay live chat button, you should find that you can replay the live chat back. So if anybody asked any questions at all of me or the two ladies from Just For You Online, then you'll be able to see those questions and answers and all sorts of other nonsense chat that we tend to do. We all like to have a good catch up when we're in the Premier chats. There we are. So yes, to do a rescue job with the other two, because they're too nice not to. I've got all my little inlays out, they've all come out fine, and get them all edged up. I'm not going to disturb this now because knowing me, I'll put my fingers on it. Got to finish the tray off. Now of course we've got our little inlays out, so I'll be back to do that. Just need to get some colour on them. Let's put the colour on them, and I'm going to let all this settle down and cool a bit actually before I do any more. The other thing I want to do at some point is find my Stays On ink pad, because I think these are just, they're lovely, they're a bit subtle though. It might be that I would want to do some that are a bit more vibrant. I need to clean all my pots again, so I'm mixing this up in an old, what's this? Morrison's French Set Cherry Flavour Yoghurt pot. Just be careful if you are using things like yoghurt pots and whatever to mix your resin in. For a start, you haven't got your measuring thing on it, so you might need to, you know, measure out your resin in something else and then tip it in. But the other thing is that some plastics, epoxy resin, will actually melt them, and you end up with a big stodgy mess and it goes everywhere, so you don't want to be doing that. Anyway, I'll be back in a moment when this is all stirred up for you. Right, and we're just going to pour it in. Now, this is the same mould that I had all the trouble with before, with the one that went horribly wrong. I'm sure you've seen the video. So, but I'm just doing the same as last time, but this time the resin is clear. So I'm hoping I can see what's going on and I can make sure that leaf is stuck. That's the plan anyway. And though I did damage the edge of the mould, I can still use it. At some point I'll cast a plain tray off this and make a new mould. Or I might just buy a new mould. This is a very cheap mould. Okay, there we are. Simple as that. Now I'm going to need a little bit more. So I'm just going to mix a tiny bit more up, and then we'll go in and put that silver sheen on the back, because I kind of like the way it's given a bit of a 3D effect. Right, I've demoulded the little tray, and that's really cute, isn't it? What I've got to do is get the inlays out. Now this one has done exactly the same as last time I used this tray, only not as badly, in that some of the resin has gone underneath the little inlay. So I'm picking that out. So again, we've not got much of that silver. I don't know why it worked so much better with previously. I might try a different sort of rubber stamp. That Brilliance stamp that I did with the silver was stronger. But yeah, it's there, you can see it. I'm still disappointed that these leaves haven't gone as silver as I wanted. So what I plan to do is try with a needle tip bottle to put some silvery resin in there. Now I'm going to try this with one of the ones that didn't really work terribly well first. Now this is it's a shame, this is really pretty, but look, I messed up the edge here. So what I've got then is a needle tip bottle with a little funnel. I've put some of the silver floating powder, simply because it's the silveriest I found, in there, And the resin I'm putting in, which I'm then going to have to move quite fast, so I better find the top. Yep, there it is. The resin I'm putting in is the Arc one. Now, it's just really liquidy. It's runnier. It's cold in this room today. Well, not cold, but cooler. So you're not probably seeing just how much runnier, but it is runnier than the Just For You Online one. And that's the only reason I'm using this one. Thank goodness for these little funnels. So I'm going to pour that in, give it a shake, and we'll test it. But it will glob my bottle up. I have no idea how to clean them out after doing this, which is why I don't do it very often. And I should have probably heated it first if I wanted it to be runnier, because this stuff's usually runnier than this. It's a 2-to-1, as most deeper pore resins are. But I must say, it's not cold in this room. It's just a lot cooler than it has been. Let's pop that out of the way. Right, and obviously I can't stir it. I have got some tops for these needlepoint bottles, but I'm just going to put my finger over it for now, because I'm just going to keep doing that until it looks like it's mixed. Right, I'm just hoping now that that's mixed up. I've shaken it, I've tipped it, I've rotated the bottle over and over. So let's hope it's mixed. I mean, there's a bubble going up and down in there. I should have put some ball bearings in probably, shouldn't I? That would have made sure. Anyway, let's see what happens. I am going to try it, as I said, on this one first. And the idea is just to infill. Like so. Oh, right, okay. I can see that's what I can already see that's working. So, happy with that. It'll self-level. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that, folks. So, let's start with these. Start with a little coaster. And I will be speeding this up for you as well, because, as you can see, it's a lovely thing to be doing. Going to take a little while. And then I am just going to leave it to cure. So I'll be back with you as soon as they're finished, and we'll see what it's looking like. So those are actually done, and that was easier than I thought. I have lost some of the detail in the process, obviously, but hey, that's pretty good. Now, I've got a load left in my bottle, and of course it will go off. So I'm going to try seeing what happens if you draw onto a silicone mould with it. Okay, so there's a couple of little experimental pieces. So there's that. And I'm going to get one of the trusty tray moulds. This is a slightly longer one. And do blobs. Just don't want to waste this beautiful silver stuff. Okay folks, time to put this project to bed. This has taken me, I've really overthought this one. It's taken me way longer than it should have done, and it could have been produced in a much simpler way, but I have really enjoyed experimenting. Now that silver is curing up nicely in there now, so I'm just going to go in with some UV resin and top it off a little bit. I'm not worried about whether it comes up level with the main coaster. In fact, it'll be quite nice if there's still a little bit of a recess. I just wanted to try filling them in. A few people have said I should do this with previous ones, so, you know, I thought I'd give it a try. I have to say that silver's incredible. I don't think I've ever seen a silver powder go as beautifully as that before. So I'm just pushing this gently around, make sure I've got complete coverage. And the other little tray that I kind of did while I was thinking about it over the back there, that ought to be a separate project really, hadn't it? A separate video. So I'll show you what I do with that in the next video, and that will be out very soon. Right, just going to get the UV lamp on those and we're done. We can have a final look at them at last. I say this could have been done so much more easily. The only other thing I need to do is the surfaces that are the bare ecopore. I'm probably going to go over those just with a little rub of wax just to seal them. But basically these are finally finished. Remind me not to overthink any projects quite this much ever again, folks, will you? Right, just let these cure up and I'll be back with you. So there we go, and the backs have all got the little rubbery feet on. So just a little rub with some furniture wax just to seal that ecopore in, and done. Finally. Right, I'm going to take some photos. Thank you all for being here for this premiere. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please don't forget to give me that all important thumbs up. Buttons to join my membership scheme with all the freebies and perks that go with that, and also of course it is free to subscribe, so if you just want to subscribe, that would be absolutely fabulous as well. For those watching the live premiere, thank you so much all for being with us. I love having you all in chat. We have such a giggle. It's really nice. And thank you so much to the ladies from Just For You Online UK for being here to take questions and so on as well. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. And I do love your products, and I hope I am showing them off adequately for you. Next project then I've got coming up is, obviously I'm going to finish this off. And I have some mould making to do as well. I've got some silicone putty, and I have got a different brand of translucent silicone because I can't get hold of the stuff that I have always used for about the last year. So anyway, yes, a few things coming up for you. So I'll see you for the next one.